Hello, welcome back to the 8th plot, and we're doing another Minecraft video, and as promised, I'm building what's known as the fortress from my Half-Human book series. Now this is a very special book series, because what I'm actually doing is, I've essentially gifted it to a school, and it's now their story. I'm using it to teach creative writing to the students coming into the library, who like reading, creative writing, and they're helping me to make it better, to write it, essentially, to even illustrate it for me. And this is the fortress from that book. It's from the very first chapter, technically the prologue, but the prologue, I guess, is the first chapter, since it is a chapter. There we go. And as you can see, my avatar in red is currently laying out the foundations for this particular fortress. So I'm going to talk a bit in this video about the fortress itself, why I settled on this kind of design, and I'm going to talk about the universe as well. If you're one of the people helping me write this, then this video is dedicated to you and all your hard work on Half-Human, the Prison Key, the first book in this series. But also, this video is also kind of a teaching tool, so if you have a book at home that you've written that you can't seem to get off the ground, then maybe gifting it to a school and working with students to write it is a good way to find yourself an audience, but also improve it, and also, best of all, encourage students to write their own stories. Now, if you go to my website, www.mdrury.co.uk, you will find a video with the same construction, but an entirely different video sort of detailing how to take your book and build it alongside a school so that you can improve it, that you can teach creative writing to students, you can encourage them to write their own books and even read more. So go to my website for that video. But this one is just the construction of the fortress and some background information on Half-Human, because I like to use Minecraft to build various things from the books that I've written. Or in this case, Half-Human, the books that me and some students at a school have written. So, let's talk about the fortress itself. So, the fortress is being built on a planet on the opposite side of the solar system to where planet Earth is, kept completely hidden by superior technology belonging to the Ontarian race, who are kind of like humans. They look like us to some extent, but they're made up of about 13 tribes who each one exhibits a various superpower. This was based on an idea I had once where I thought, what if something like the X-Men universe, for example, was actually happened, where we lived in a world where people had superpowers, but instead of using that as a sort of metaphor for racism, what if instead the civilization had worked and adapted to the presence of superpowers? And how would society function with so many people being able to run fast, being super strong, being able to read minds, being able to change their appearance, and so on and so forth? And from that idea was born Half-Human, where I created a world and a people, a race of aliens essentially, who had to live in a society with superpowers. And then I bring in Ryan Barnes, who's the main character, someone who's half-human, half-Ontarian in this case, hence the title of the book, Half-Human. So he's part alien, part human. And how would he deal discovering that he's actually part alien, part human? And he has to go to planet Ontaria and live his life there from now on. And that's the main plot of the book. It's how he deals with this revelation. But also, how does he deal with having superpowers as his body grows and develops them? And you'll have to read the story when we've finished writing it and published it to understand his journey from planet Earth to planet Ontaria and dealing with his unique situation. So, where does this fortress come in? So, I'm going to do some spoilers here. This all happens in the prologue, but you can still read it anyway, because there's lots of good action and some tremendous writing by my team of authors who are all co-authors in constructing this world and writing this book. So in the prologue, we see that Planet Ontaria is coming to the end of a long civil war. Now, this civil war was brought about by the 13th tribe of Ontario, deciding that their particular power set meant that they should have they should have privileges, that they should be in charge. Normally, Ontario is run by a council, which is a representative of each tribe, and they all discuss and decide their own what their government's going to do. The 13th tribe, their superpower, spoiler alert, is the ability to use the powers of all the other tribes. When in close proximity and, rather macabrely, if they were to drink the blood of another Ontarian, they would gain a more powerful connection to those superpowers. So the 13th tribe began a civil war about 4 years ago. Now this is set, the war ends in human terms, roughly by, you're looking at something like 2003. So this civil war is coming to an end in 2003 human terms on planet Ontario. The 13th tribe have had numerous victories. They've proven themselves powerful. Being able to utilize all the powers of the tribes meant that they could overwhelm the various, any tribe coming against them with their powers would be neutralized by a complementary corresponding, I guess, power that the 13th tribe could utilize against them. So in order to win, the remaining Council of Ontario, representing the other 12 tribes of the planet, formulated a plan. They built this fortress on an island, volcanic island. It's like a giant super volcano, like Yellowstone National Park in America, which is a giant super volcano caldera, kilometers across. So they chose an island which is uninhabited, and they started building this fortress. And once it was finished, they leaked to the 13th tribe that inside was being developed a pathogen, a disease that would eliminate only the 13th tribe members or incapacitate them somehow. So in response, the 13th tribe marshalled a small force and assaulted the fortress in order to get inside and stop production of this pathogen. But the fortress is a ruse. It's incredibly tough, strong. It's got shields, it's got advanced weapons, the most advanced weapons that the remaining 12 tribes could cobble together. And it resisted the small force the 13th tribe sent against it. And according to the plan was that because of the fortress's strong defences, the 13th tribe would have to send a bigger army, and a bigger army, and then a bigger army. And eventually, with most of their armed forces in the volcano, working, trying to attack the fortress, that then a trap could be set. Now, you're probably thinking the trap would be obvious. Blow up the super volcano, eliminate that entire army of 13th tribe. However, that's not how Ontarians do business, and besides, detonating a super volcano would have long-lasting consequences for planet Ontario. So instead, a different plan was put into action. The fortress is not there to develop a pathogen that could wipe out the 13th tribe. Instead, it contains a very powerful shield generator. So once a significant force of the 13th tribe's army was in the volcano attacking the fortress, the Ontarians would activate the shield, which would grow to not only encompass this fortress, but also roughly go to the edge of the crater, as you can see as part of this island. And then the shield would stabilize, and it would trap the Tredisum. Sorry, Tredisum is the Ontarian word for 13th tribe. The 13th tribe will be trapped inside the shield, and they wouldn't be able to get out. Now that would cut off a huge portion of their army from the rest of the 13th tribe, enabling the remaining Ontarians, 12 tribes, to win the civil war. And also it would just trap them for quite a long time as a sort of punishment. It's their sort of prison sentence. They would be trapped inside the shield for as many years as the rest of the 12 tribes deemed appropriate for starting a civil war and trying to take over the whole planet. Thankfully, the fortress was so well built that it resisted the Tredisum army for ages, and nearly 90+% of their entire army assaulted the fortress. And the trap was set, and the shield grew from the fortress, enveloped the crater as planned, stabilized, and the Tredasim didn't have the weapons to destroy it. The shield was very powerful, and it was given extra energy from outside of the crater that was beamed in through the shield, continually powering it, making it even stronger. And the Tredasim had the 13th tribe had no weapons with them inside the crater that could destroy it. Now you might think, oh, okay, well, just destroy the fortress, get inside, and destroy the shield generator. However, a second shield was also erected around the fortress, and with the power beamed from outside of the shield, it was kept perpetually in operation. It would never shut down, and it was so powerful that none of the weapons that the 13th tribe had could open it. So a huge majority of the 13th tribe's army and populace were trapped inside the shield dome. They couldn't get to the shield generator to shut it off, and they couldn't get out to stop the power from being fed to the shields. On the outside, there were some remaining Tredasim 13th tribe members, but they were too small in number, and the power generation going into the shield was too great for them to overcome. And the civil war ended, 2003 in our time. Now, a hero of the operation to set the trap was a man named Oedip Swift, a member of the Swift tribe, which is the Ontarians who can run, think, move at super speed. And he and a group of others were inside the fortress to make it look like it was occupied. They couldn't use an automatic system, because then the 13th tribe would detect that and realise that the fortress was unmanned, and if it's unmanned, it's not producing any pathogen, and they would see that it was a trap. So the fortress was manned by the Swifters and a few others who gave the impression that it was what it appeared to be, a laboratory concealed in a fortress to protect the weapon, the secret weapon that would end the civil war. Oedipus had to set the shield from inside and protect it with a sort of a key, hence the prison key title, that would ensure that it couldn't be shut down. And he was essentially inside the trap, but because he was so fast, he and a few others were able to set the trap, run from the fortress, and get beyond the shield before it enveloped the whole island and stabilized. Only Swifters could do this, hence while they were the bait inside the trap. Oedipus made it out along with some others. I should have said spoiler alert, but there you go. And by doing this, he's become a national hero. He is essentially the man of the hour. He's the one who ended the Great War and restored peace to planet Ontario. However, oh well, do I spoil this for you? I guess I will. Stay tuned. He actually ends up going to planet Earth to hide the key that locked the fortress, and he falls in love with another woman and has a child, hence Ryan Barnes, and then the story goes from there. So that's the story setup. That's where Half Human begins. And yeah, please read the prologue when or the book when it comes out. I haven't spoiled too much for you. There's still plenty of details out there. And take a look at the action sequences where Oedipus has to flee the fortress, and we meet the primary villain. And yeah, that's the story as it stands. So my avatar's adding some more details to the fortress, so I'll just explain a bit about the fortress itself. Planet Ontaria is, not only is it made up of 13 tribes, it also is technologically more advanced than humanity. That's mostly due to one tribe being super intelligent. And they've never had to build a fortress in their life. It's never been a part of Ontarian history to build static defences to protect yourself. And that's just due to the unique quirks of history that Ontario went through as 13 tribes developed their superpowers. So they needed to get inspiration for a fortress, the first ever fortress they would build, from planet Earth. Now, if you're looking at the design, you might see some familiar construction elements. So when I did some research on fortresses, how to sort of construct one for this particular book series, I looked for various fortresses throughout history. and I stumbled upon two that I use for inspiration. One is called Bastion Forts, which is a you see it mostly in European countries. And they were built in response to production and increase in sort of military spending on cannon. So it's designed to protect against the artillery that was produced by the European powers from roughly like the 16th century onwards. So the design is geometric, and it's usually flat, much flatter than what you see here. And the point of it is to not having high walls, because the concern wasn't that soldiers would be going over the top. The concern was resisting cannon fire. So low, thick walls were easier to build than high, thick walls, and they would resist cannon fire. But also the geometric construction allowed for nearly no dead zones. Cannons placed around the building would be able to fire on pretty much any spot surrounding the fortress, preventing any enemy from getting close and scaling the walls if that was even possible. So I've given the fortress a very geometric sort of design based on bastion forts, so it could resist the 13th tribe's assault on it by being able to cover all space around the fortress with their superior weapons technology of the Ontarian people. So the blue areas you have to imagine as being sort of laser defences and things like that. And my avatar is currently building a sort of, it makes the top of the fortress look like a moor, like maybe the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars, something like that. Or, yeah, I guess, something like that. But, and from these, weapons would come out and fire on the army surrounding the fortress to entice as many 13th tribe members into the crater so they could be trapped, but also to resist as long as possible. Now, the fortress is also based around a second fort, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right when I call it the Marangara Fort, located in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. It's one of the largest forts in India, built in the 15th century, and it's a very high-walled fort. The design was to prevent people scaling the walls, and it was incredibly thick walls, and an excellent design, perched on top of a rocky outcrop. And so I saw this fort and the bastion forts of Europe, and I combined them together to create this particular fort. So I've given it slightly higher walls than a bastion fort might have. And the reason for that, my justification for that, because it's always it's a good idea to base your books on as much realism as possible. So I selected the bastion forts for the geometric design that gave a 360 sort of weapons fire around the fortress. There's no dead spots. There's no places a 13th tribe could hide really close to the wall. And by giving, but I didn't want a low fortress. I wanted a high fortress. So I went with higher walls to prevent scaling, but also give a greater advantage to the weapons emplacements in order to fire on the 13th tribe. So that's how I came up with the design of the fort. And in the video now you can see that we're zooming in from the island itself. A giant volcanic crater is what you have to imagine that being. And the fortress is situated in the middle, and you'd have to imagine it now. I can't really put it in Minecraft yet. An army surrounding it, constantly firing on the fort, and its high walls made from exotic alien metals resisting all attempts to destroy it, as well as some sort of internal, energy shielding. You can see the various weapon emplacements in blue that I've added to it. One day I might come back to this and add some more details. Maybe I'll put a dome, a glass dome over it, so that would illustrate the shield dome that protects the fortress and stops the 13th tribe from getting out. You can see a 360-degree look at the fortress, all the sort of geometric sides, the high walls, the combination of the two fort designs. And I thought I would add just inside the sort of control room. So we're going to go down a little corridor. You'd have to imagine that Edips, who would run out of this corridor at the last minute before the shield is activated, setting the controls and the instructions on a computer screen with various consoles. I did my best with what Minecraft can give you. That doesn't lead anywhere. That's just giving, that there would be other corridors in the fortress to make the trap look right, and then he would run out of that corridor. The door would close behind him before any of the Treadersome, the 13th tribe, would get in. He would run all the way to the edge of the crater, beating the shield bubble, expanding like a soap bubble being fed, air from inside. And he alone and a few other Swifters would be just fast enough to get beyond the shield before it trapped them too. And heroes for being so brave. And there we go. That's our video for the fortress. Please like and subscribe. Check out some of the other Minecraft videos where I'm building stuff from Stolen Futures, Alien Hunter Connor Jones, and very soon other books that I've written. And yes, go to my website because you'll see the same sort of video, but instead I will be telling you how to use, if you have a book that's written and you want to get it out there, you want to improve it, but you also want to help encourage children to creatively write or read more, then giving your book to a school might be a good way to do it. And I'll go through how that could be done with your book. Obviously, if you're writing adult books, I'm afraid it won't work, but maybe there's a different avenue you could use for your adult book. But mostly you're thinking of children's books, from picture books all the way up to young adult. Thanks for watching. As I said, like and subscribe. And yeah, at the time of writing, at the time of recording this video, have a happy new year in 2021. Merry Christmas, and have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Goodbye.